right, let's talk about object states because object states can be really useful. And I'm going to show you one example here, but use your imagination. You could probably think of many others, and I'm going to show you a couple of different things that you might find really useful as well. So let's talk first of all about objects, of course. And an object can be anything. It can be a video, it can be text, it can be an image, etc. Let's go ahead and create then some image states. I'm going to go ahead and bring in this. I'm going to go ahead and bring in an image. And the image I'm going to bring in the states folder here is this blank one right here. Okay. So now I have this blank image. That's going to be, in essence, my initial state. What I like to do is go ahead and make the rest of the background look the same so it doesn't stand out. And I can do that by going up to here and to properties, and then choosing to make my background the same as that color. Okay, so you can do that a couple of different ways. Coming back out to here, what I normally would do is come here to background, making sure that I don't have anything selected, and then instead of using master slide background, I'm going to use a custom background, and then where it says solid, I'm going to choose yes, solid. The color here, I'm going to choose the eyedrop tool to select it, and now I have a big old pink screen. Okay, I made the whole thing. So now you can't really see the object there anymore because it's kind of hidden, right? All right, I'm going to go ahead and add states to this object now. And in your exercises, you'll see that you have these different B types, and I made them shorten their names because they can be kind of long, right? So what we're going to do is put these in as different states to this object. And so for the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all these into my library because that's going to make life a little bit easier. So I'm going to open my library here, and then I'm going to bring in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I already brought in blank. I won't have to do that one. And bring it over here to the images so that they all have now been added. Cool. All right, now what I'm going to do is add a state. Now, a couple of ways you can do this. You can come over here and hit the plus sign, okay? And then the new state is the one that you're going to use to put your first B picture below this hidden image here. Okay, so what we would do then is to name it, and it makes sense to name the state whatever you're going to be including in it. So in this case, I'm going to call this Agape because I have a B called that. So I'm going to click OK, and now you'll see that it actually has surrounded this. Now, in a case like this is not a button, right? This is just an image, and I'm going to be placing states behind it. But it doesn't mean that they have to be right there behind it, because if I were to come over here now and, well, take my library, and I'm going to take that Agape right there. Yeah, I would want it to be inside of there, right? And it fits nice and snugly because I made sure it was. But if I could take that and put it out there too, and that way it's actually going to move. Later we're going to look at that a little bit more. All right, let me put it back there. All right, so the next one is Andrin, and then we have Bomb for Bomb something, or Bombella, I forget. Bomb and Holly. So what you can do in this case is if you got several states to create, then under Properties, go to State View, and you're going to see those states now on your left, your normal and Agape one. I'm going to open my library here so I can see those again, and I'm going to create then another state called Andren. Okay. And I'm going to create another one called Bomb. Create another one, and this one's going to be the Hyla. Oh, I missed one. Holly. Sorry, let me try that again. Holly. There we go. And another new state, call this one Hyla. Okay. And then finally we have Noma. So let's create that one too. Noma. So I've created all the states I need. Now I'm going to come back to here. Notice that it takes on the same look as the first normal state. The normal state, which you can't change its name by the way, is always that first one. So what I could do now, of course, is to go and get the andron and put that one inside of it. Okay, like so. Go down to the bombardier one, bring that one over. Go down to the holly one, bring that one over. Come over here to the hyla, bring that one over as well. And then down at the bottom is going to be our noma, and I'll just bring that in. Now I have all these states that are in place, and I'm going to go ahead and come up here, strangely enough, to click on exit state. So now I'm going to exit that state, the state there for that, and I'm right back to where I was with this blank one, that's there. So now, what can we do with those? Well, there's a number of things you can do. You can make a rotating set of pictures, and you can do that by bringing in another smart shape. Okay, let's make this one. Um, a, we're going to turn this one into a button, and we're going to call this one next B. Okay, next B. All right, let's make that a little bigger. Okay, next B. And I'm going to choose to use as a button there. Okay. Now, when I do that, notice that automatically you're going to have two more states, your rollover and your down state. The rollover looks like that, and the down state looks like that. Notice that reverted to that earlier size because the normal state, I increased the size of the font, but I didn't do that with the others. So I kind of have to do that myself if I want to keep the text looking the same in every case. So I'm going to go back here and choose again to make that one 24 and go up to the rollover state, make that one also 24 so that we at least have the text not shrinking between states. Now, if we look at normal and we look at rollover and we look at down, okay, down looks much like the the up state. So let's change that to a really dark blue because that's what down does typically, makes it darker. So now I see that if I go to state view, I have my normal, my rollover, and my down. Okay, normal rollover, sorry, normal rollover. Even that doesn't look that different, so I'm going to change this one to be a little more like that because this is the rollover, which means that only is going to turn that when you roll over it. All right, exit the state again. All right, now I have this next B option, and this is a button, so when the learner clicks on it, we're going to have an action, right? So we're going to have actions here, and by default, it's going to be go to the next slide. We're going to change that, but before I do, I'm going to turn off the click sound, and I'm going to turn that into a hand cursor because I want them to know that that's a button, so when you roll over it, it will become a hand cursor. Drop this down, and near the bottom, you'll see you can change state of, go to next state, and go to previous state. Now, these three options are only available if there is an object with more than one state. In other words, a multiple state object. So I'm going to go ahead and say go to next state, because that's what's supposed to happen. What happens when we get to the last B picture is it's going to go back to the beginning again. So it's going to go round and round and round. Now, I want them to be able to click the buttons I'm creating as much as they like. So I want to turn off this continue playing the project option because by having it there, as soon as they click it, it will change the state, but then it's going to move along and go to the next slide if I had a next slide, okay? So that's good. I think we're set with that one. I'm going to duplicate this one by using Control and drag. And I'm going to call this one previous B. Let's take a look now at the states for this one. Okay, that one looks good, and the down looks good. So now everything is fine. Okay, previous B though, the action for this, of course, should be that we want to go to the previous state. Now, if that's all I do and leave it there, we have these two buttons. Let's go ahead and take a look to see how this works. I'm going to take the and preview this now. And when I do, okay, it stops right there because I have some interactions on the screen it wants to wait. So I'm going to click on next B, and there's my first state below the normal one. Next B, next B, next B, next B, next B, next B. and then back again, okay? Previous B, okay, and it's going in the backward direction now. So that's pretty good. I mean, if you want to show a series of images of a mechanism you have or a process or something else, you can certainly do that as well. All right, um, let's go ahead and close this, and let's get back to here. Now, besides doing that, you can, in fact, also have a third button. Let's do that one. I'm going to move this down. And this button, I want it to always go to the same state. So remember our states here were named after our library. Let's say I wanted to always go to the Holly state, the Holly B. So I'm going to go back to properties, and for this one, I'll call it, of course, um, show me Holly. And I'm going to not go to previous state. I will instead say to change the state of, and what of his image one, I can see that down here, and I want to change it to Holly. So it's going to go there. Okay, one more thing before I preview this again. When you're working with these kinds of things like states or draggable items, etc., you want to kind of, yeah, name your objects because it makes it much simpler to see which is which here. So I can see here, show me Holly is the top one, and I'm going to come up here and, in fact, call it that, show me Holly. Okay. For the previous B, I'm going to call that one previous, and for the next B, I'm going to call that one next. Now that's good. It's good that you do that, but the most important object you want to name is the object you're changing here. So I'm going to call this my B's, just a simple thing, B's, okay? Notice now, okay, I've got all of these named, and if I go back to here and go to, sorry, if I go to the next B, for instance, that's going back, sorry, forward and back. But when I go to this one, okay, change state of, now it says B's here. It knows, it kept track of the fact that I named it, changed that name, so it's now pointing the right thing. But it would have been even simpler if we, especially if we had had other images on the screen that we didn't want to change, right, with these buttons, and that did have other states for other reasons. Well, yeah, so this way we can make sure we got the right one, and we're now going to Holly. All right, let's take a look at that in the preview, and I'm going to show you a couple of more things about states, and we'll go from there. So, okay, next B, previous B, previous B, next B, next B. Show me Holly goes directly to Holly. If I go to previous B, show me Holly. Okay, previous B, show me Holly. Okay, so it's always going to go to the previous one from the current one that is showing the next one, or in this case, show me Holly. All right, so that's good because that covers basically the three different ways that you can manipulate um, states with actions. You can go to next state, the previous state, or directly change the state to one of the named ones in there. All right, so this is good. We now have shown how we can use states to create multiple items and then from there be able to um, manipulate those using actions. Okay, let's look at a couple of other examples now that each one is a little bit different. So one thing to note is that with the next B, previous B, etc., um, what we have in this case is we have buttons here. These are all buttons, and on the right is the actual item that's going to change. Well, the item that's going to change. Remember, I said earlier that if you go into a different state, if I go into, say, the Andron state here, well, heck, I could go ahead and add a star to this if I wanted to, and it doesn't even have to be within the box, okay? Well, I just changed it. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, one thing I need to point out is that you have to do this in the state view. So sorry, I forgot. I'm going to go to state view, okay? And I'm going to come down to the Andron here, and now I'm going to add to this state by bringing in that star, and it's now there. And notice that most of it's off the image, and now it's completely off the image, but both are going to show here, okay? So we're going to kind of put that into practice in the next example. But one thing I want to point out is that while you can do that with objects and that have states, you can't do that with buttons because while you can actually add more states to a button, so this is the next B, right? And then if I come down here, I see I already have the roller in down. If I hit plus, it's automatically going to assume that I want the fourth inbuilt state, which is visited. And visited means that I've already clicked that button. So let's try that one, okay? So I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to place within that um, a, let me make sure I'm in state view again. Yeah. And for this, for the visited state down here, I'm going to place now, we don't really have a check mark in here, do we? All right, so we're just going to go with um, a plus sign, I guess. And I'm going to put it here, and it's kind of like color on the same color. So I'm going to make this one like that. And I'm going to bring it over to this side, and I'm going to make it smaller. But now you'll see that this is going to be in the visited state. Let's try that, okay? I'm going to exit the state, preview. You can do this with all the buttons, by the way. I'm just going to do it with one so you can see how it works, the visited state. Now, if I click on next B, bam, now it's been visited, and I can still click on it, but every time I do, it's going to be, it's still visited. So in other words, once you visit it one time, it's always visited after that. All right, good. Let's continue now. What we're going to do next is to show another example. And in this one, we're going to show how you can take an image, in essence, and move it across the screen, not using the path animation, but using, in essence, states, because we're not just going to move an object on its own, we're going to actually change that object as it moves, okay? And that's why this can be an important thing too. Let's go ahead and go to media and characters, and I'm going to choose a character here, maybe, if it decides to show them to me. There we go. Let's go ahead and choose this guy right here. So I'm going to open this up, and his name is Anthony. Come on, Anthony. And I'm going to choose one of these right here. Now, Anthony, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and insert that image of Anthony right there. Okay, there he is. Okay, so I'll place him over here on the left. And Anthony might be needing to move on the screen. So let's go ahead and try that. What I'll do now is I'm going to go ahead and go into state view, and I'm going to create a new state. Now, for this new state, I'll just call this position 2, right? Position 2. And what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to take this image right here of the character. This little button right here allows me to change the character. So what I'm going to do is change the character, but I'm going to choose the same one, only a different position. So in this case, I want the character to perhaps turn to the right. So let's have that happen. Let's see. Can we choose one of these? Turn to the right. That's might work. Shove it to me. Come on. Shove it to me. There we go. All right, so he's going to make a gesture too while he does that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to bring that one in half full. And why can't I insert it? Okay. Oh, you know what? I think some of these I haven't downloaded yet, and that's why it's just showing me a print. But okay, let's say that we're going to use this one here. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose to insert one in which he's looking to the right. Now you notice that I still have my first state, this is my second state, and I could leave him be because that's kind of right where he is right there. He's just turning at that point. Let's go ahead and create a third state now. And you're going to see how you can actually create 20, 30 states if you wanted to, but we're going to create 4 or 5. So now we're going to call this one position 3. And what I'm going to do is to click on that button again, go back to this person again, and we're going to make it so that he's going to be, again, looking to the right, like so. That's the one we just chose. Let's choose a different one now. This one, I think he's looking, that's all right. Yeah, okay, we're going to insert that one. Okay, so this one, we're going to move over a bit, like so. So now I have this one, that one, and you see how it's going to move at that point. Fine, let's go ahead and add a couple more. So we're going to add another one. This is going to be position 4, and another one called position 5. Okay, so for position 4, let's have him move a little bit more, but as long as he's facing right, it'll be okay. Let's find one of those, facing right, facing right. That one, we haven't used that one. Okay, let's use that one right there. And that one is a bigger, wider one, so we need to reset that one to its original size. Click on that button right there, and that way it's the size it's supposed to be. All right, so that's position 4. This is position 3, position 4. We're going to move now position 3, position 4. We're going to move it a little bit more to the left, to the right, sorry. And then for the last one, we're going to have him be in that same position as the first one, but he's going to be over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, exit the state, and we want to now show this person basically moving across the slide. And you could do that a couple of different ways. There's an easy way, and in my opinion, an even easier way, but that takes a little more knowledge. So let's say that I'm now going to do the following. I'm going to take Anthony here, and I want to make sure that there's a nice fade in for that. So I'm going to go to the timing properties now and choose to fade in and out. Okay. And he's going to be there for, let's say, half a second. And now I'm going to duplicate that, move it over to the next, just barely overlapping there. And this one, though, and I'm going to line him back up there. But this one, though, is going to be the second state, right? So I would want to come back to my properties and choose for this one position 2. All right, now, again, I'd want to move him over like so. And let's take a look at how that works. Okay, that's a little too fast, isn't it? Let's try that again, though. Okay, so this one is to the right. Let's finish this up a little bit. We can make it so that, again, we're choosing that and we're changing its view to 3. And we're going to do that again and making that the 4th position. And finally, one more time and making that the 5th position. Now, these are, in fact, very, very fast. So you're going to see that very quickly. That one should go there, right? We said we want that one there. This one, let's see. What we want to do, oh, they're all over there, right? What's happening now? Let's see. Okay, all right, that doesn't work. Okay, now that we traded our states, we're going to have that person move on on the screen. And the way to do that is through an advanced action, which is going to be pretty easy. If you think it's going to be hard, it's not really hard at all. Let's go ahead and do that. Uh, what I want to have happen is that when the learner clicks a button that says go, okay, here, make that a button and make it go. Attached to that, I'm going to place an advanced action. So I come here and choose to, it's off screen, but it's execute advanced actions. And I click in this little gold folder to open up the advanced actions option. Now what I see here is that you remember earlier I said you probably should name these. So I'm going to close this and just come back here because I want to know which is which, right? Yeah, I know it's not valid because I didn't do anything with it. So this right here is my man, let's call man, okay? And this is my button up here. Not really important to name that one, so let's leave that be. Because what I want to have happen is that when the button is clicked, it's going to move through all the states one after the other, right? Earlier we showed how a button you could go to the next state, previous state, etc. But this one, once you click go, it's going to go and finish all the states. Okay, let's show for the rest of the slide. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to go to my button again and choose actions and choose to execute an advanced action. I've named him man now, and that's nice because I can at least see what I'm doing here better. I'm going to call this one move man. And in here, I'm going to place my actions. So the first action I'm going to take is I'm going to go ahead and tell it that initially the man should stay there for maybe let's go with 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to tell it to delay the next actions by a literal value of 1, like so. The next line is going to be that I want to now go to next state, or if I really wanted to, I could go with change the state of, but I'm going to go to the next state of the man, okay? Then I'm going to copy this one like so, come back down here, and I'm going to paste that now there, and there, and there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need one more, I believe, which would be the 5th one. Okay, yes, let's try that. Okay, I'm going to save as action. It says it's successful. I close this, and now I need to preview this. Let's take a look to see how this will work. All right, this is my B1. I'm going to go to the next slide here. Now I'm going to click go. Okay, not bad, right? Every second it moved. And I think maybe one of my states is a little awry. I have to go back and take a look at it now. But just in case you wonder, this advanced action, which is repetitive, is just saying, wait a second, now go to the next state. Wait another second, go to the next state. If you wanted to make it so that you could really set that whenever you like, okay, you can actually create a variable. And when you create the variable, you can call this one my, my timer, okay? And I'm gonna add new first, then call it timer, sorry about that. And I'm gonna place in here a value. So if I were to place in here a value of 3 seconds, that would, I'm gonna make it so that he will only move every 3 seconds. But if I make this 0.5, well, 0.7576, okay, sure, why not? It's 0.76, and I save that. Now I close it, and I'm going to come back here where I've had these 1 second, and I'm going to change this to be a variable, and it's going to be my timer variable right there. Okay, and I can do that with the others. Normally I would do that first, and then when I copy and paste, of course, I don't have to do this for every one of them. You could still copy and paste, but in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way, because I can be weird sometimes, okay? So now instead of going 1 second, it's going to go timer seconds, and whatever value is in timer is what's going to be the actual time. Variable and then timer. Okay, looking at that variable again for timer, I see that I put a value there initially. I could have also set that value in, outside of here, but I'm going to leave it there because why not, right? It's only one place I really need to set that. I'm going to update the action, okay, and I'm going to close this and let's preview this again. Next, I'm going to show you something kind of interesting about this. So I click and go to the next slide. And now when I click go, you'll see it's going to run just a little bit faster. It's not 1 second anymore, it's 0.75 seconds, yeah? Cool, all right. Uh, all right, good. So at this point, and I'm going to turn on my hand cursor and disable quick sound here, okay? So if I were to have this approach, what if I wanted it to slow down as it moved across the screen? Oh, that's interesting, right? So in other words, maybe I want it to start at 0.3, but then it's going to add 0.5, and then it's going to add a second to each turn. That's going to be interesting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my advanced action, right? And my timer variable that I had earlier, I'm going to set that, in fact, to now 0.5 for a half a second. Okay. Update it, and then close it. And what I'm going to do before the timer here, when it goes to the next state, before it waits for the next one, I'm going to add a line in there. Now, to add a line, you can hit this little plus sign here. I'm going to add it down here, but then I'm going to move it up, okay? So what I'm going to do here is to actually do what's called an increment. So I'm going to come down here. I could use expression as well, but I'm going to come down. Oh, did I miss it? Let's see. There it is, increment. And I'm going to choose to increment timer by 1 second. So what does that mean? That means that the first one's going to be a half a second. The second one is going to be a full 1.5 seconds. All right, so I'm going to move this one up to there using these arrows. So now when the person has moved, the next state has happened, it's next going to change timer to be one more than it was before. And what I want to do now is to copy this, okay, and paste it. Now, if I try to paste it here, it's probably going to overwrite it. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste here. 1, 2, 3, and another one, 4. I think that's all I need. And I'm going to move this one up to here. Oops, nope, here. And then this one here, I'm going to move it up to here. And this one here is going to go up to here. Oops, here. And I'll do another second at the end, even though he's not moving anymore. In fact, no, we don't need that last one. So let's go ahead and delete it. All right, now it's going to be interesting because the value is going to change. By the way, wouldn't it be cool if we could actually see the value of timer on the screen so that we can see when it changes? Sure. Let's go ahead and put up the timer as well. I'm going to go and bring in a text caption, okay? And it's going to be an invisible one here. And I double click it here and delete what's there and come down to this little X that's in my properties. This only can happen when you're editing the text. And now I'm going to tell it I want to insert, this means I'm going to insert a variable. I'm going to insert timer and click OK. Now, because of that, let me center that. Now, because of that, we're going to see the actual time happening. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is getting really cool, right? I hope so. I hope you like it. So let's go to the next slide. 0.5, see that? Okay. I'm going to click go. Now it's 1.51, 2.51. Not sure why I added the 0.1. Now it's 3.51. Okay. So now, because we're done, If I were to continue here, guess what? The value is still what it was earlier. So it's now 4.51, 5.51, 6.51. It's going to really slow down the movement. Now it's 7.51, 8.51, etc. So a variable, it's going to continue to be updated every time. By the way, sorry that his head is cut off. I should have moved this down a little bit more. Okay. All right. Interesting, eh? Now it's going to wait a full 10.51 seconds, and next is going to be a full 11.51 seconds, etc. Alrighty. Well, I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, you can place comments below, or you can also email me at the email you see on the screen. Thanks, everybody.